Now, with that, I'm pleased to present our first session, if you see in your booklets, where we will discuss a story which we are confident most of you have heard of. It is the rescue of Christian Eriksen, the football Christian Eriksen, the footballer, during the last Euro football tournament. I'm pleased to welcome on stage the hero behind the story himself, my colleague, Dr. Jans Kleinefeld. Hello, have a seat. Now, so let's jump back in time a bit. So let's pretend that today is 12th June 2021. Europe is going through its first summer days, and one of our biggest sports events, the European Football Championship, have just started yesterday. This afternoon, Denmark is playing its opening match against Finland at the Parken Stadium in Copenhagen. Both teams are playing the last minutes of the first half. When this happens, can we roll the video, please?
He ran the ball, didn't he, into the channel. Eriksen just trying to get through the thrower, but he was already on his way down.
The concern here for Christian Eriksen is tangible. Just witnessed Christian Eriksen still being attended to, but excited, happy faces have suddenly been covered with furrowed brows and tears from many.
I hope you all remember this scene. It was played over and over again. Dr. Kleinefeld, dear colleague, thank you for being with us today to share your experience. You are a medical doctor who has been working for UEFA events for many years, and you were one who resuscitated Christian Eriksen on 12 June 2021. Can you please tell us what happened during the game? What were you doing? What was your role in Parken Stadium to begin with?
Yeah, my job description is I'm a UEFA venue medical doctor in Parken in Copenhagen, and I have actually two duties. One is to check the minimal medical requirements from UEFA beforehand, and the second is I'm also responsible for the doping controls after the match. Mm-hmm. And for this duty, I always go the match day -1. I check the minimal medical requirements we have implemented by UEFA, which is very, very helpful because we have all the emergency system on the site. So we have defibrillators and emergency medication and everything. But also I check the knowledge of the pitch-side medical team. And in this case, it was maybe life-saving because when I checked the knowledge of these people, I realized that there were 9 people as a sideline team, that there were only, let's say, one who was really experienced paramedic.
So there were 9 total, doctors and paramedics?
There's 1 doctor and 4 pitch-side carriers, let's say it like this. Mm-hmm. In the minimal medical requirements, it says that at least one of the carriers should be a paramedic, ATLS paramedic, and 1 pitch-side doctor. And the pitch-side doctor, he was a sports medical doctor, an orthopedic surgeon, so that's why I trained them 2 hours before kickoff. I go with them through I have a presentation for this, and I show them the presentation, how a sudden cardiac arrest looks like, and we also define the responsibilities. So this is, I think, this actually saved his life, because I showed them how a sudden cardiac arrest looks like on the pitch, and the second thing is I really showed them what is their duties, what they should do.
So we have the minimum requirements regarding material, we have minimum requirements regarding personnel, stretcher bearers, doctor, everything in place. you talk with them before. Now let's go to the 43rd minute. Christian Eriksen collapses on the pitch. How do you react? How do they react? What did you do? How did it work?
So not the problem, but the situation was like that I was sitting in the stands. I'm not sitting with the sideline team. So, but I could observe it a little bit far away. I had no TV, but I could see that he was collapsing. And I was, let's say, alarmed directly. And then second, so I was already standing up. And then I saw that the pitch side, that the team physician and the physiotherapist acted a little bit hectic, and then automatically it was in my mind, okay, this is a sudden cardiac arrest. So I shouted to the pitch side doctor who was sitting in front, and the paramedics run, this is a resuscitation. So they were running on the pitch, and they did what I told them, start with the CPR. And then I had to go down from the stands, and I followed them. And when I arrived on the scene, they already started with the chest compression, so I just had to place pads for the AED, and we shocked him.
Okay. AED, the automatic external defibrillator, so that we all know what we're talking about. So you place the AED, the voice prompt starts, and it said defibrillate?
Yes, I think it says it because it was in Danish, and I don't speak Danish. But, of course, as I know all the machines, and I know then when you see the red light flashing, I know, okay, I have to shock him.
Good. So even if you don't know the language that the defibrillator plays, you see the red button that says press, and then you have to press. Congratulations, clearly. Christian Eriksen was successfully brought back to life, but we all know not all cases of sudden cardiac arrest end up this way. You know that in your previous life you worked in pre-hospital environment as an ambulance doctor and as an aeromedical evacuations doctor, like me. So you know that the percentages are not good on sudden cardiac arrest. But what did play a key factor in your opinion for this happy outcome? His age, you running smoothly the protocol?
You know, if we look back, we have so many dead football players, even on TV. And what I could see always, and this is why I became subject in training and education, the pitch side doctors, is time is life. And I think what saved his life, that we started the resuscitation after 2 minutes and 10 seconds, something like this, and that we defibrillated him also within 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes. And of course, you all know that this saves a life. If you are really quick in your sufficient first aid, then these people can survive. And the second thing is, if you compare it to the general population, because normally when we have cardiac arrest, the reason is myocardial infarction, dilatative cardiomyopathias and all this. And this we can normally exclude by football players, because all of them have really tight medical examination, so they don't have coronary disease, they don't have a dilatative cardiomyopathy and all these things. What they have is a rhythm problem. And this is also very easy to save the life. If someone has just a rhythm problem and you're quick and you defibrillate quick, they really have a good survival chance.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned the prevention measures, that the athletes should be examined beforehand by a cardiologist and have a thorough medical checkup, because this improves as you said, improves the percentages if something goes wrong. One of the most memorable images we've seen during these events, it was the human chain made by the players. They were both very emotional, but also standing firm, facing outwards in a row and blocking the images. I mean, I saw the images many times. The TV initially was very close, but afterwards they they were not showing images. How important was that, the human chain around the player, for you also? Did you feel that it helped to do your job normally? This is something that I wanted to ask. It was very well done, the human chain. So I want your opinion on that.
So for me, personally, you know, I'm such an experienced emergency doctor, and I have done so many resuscitations, and even in these circumstances where you know that there are people around, I was not nervous, I was focused. So actually, I really realized it. I just saw it later on TV. But I think it helped the people who were participating in the resuscitation who were not that experienced. So I think this is, for example, now one of the results of this, that we now have inflatable tents at UEFA competitions. If something like this happens, we can build a tent within seconds around it to protect the paramedics and the doctors, to protect them so that they feel a little bit not observed.
That's actually something that I didn't know. You actually have now inflatable tents that you can be surround the patient and block the view of the audience, the TV audience, as well as the spectators.
Yeah, we will start with this from on next season. So we put it in our requirements, and then we have it.
Okay, that was good. Can you tell us what happened afterwards? He was resuscitated on site. You now have a steady pulse. He can breathe. You don't intubate him. There is no need for intubation. He comes automatically back. He breathes normally. So you put him on a stretcher. What happens next?
Yeah, he was, after the first resuscitation, we just placed all the equipment. Of course, we placed a normal 12-lead ECG, and I put IV and all this stuff. So we stabilized him a little bit, like blood pressure, then on the striker. And then he was transported to the ambulance. I made a debrief with the emergency doctor in the ambulance, and then he was brought to the nearby university hospital. So, and he always was awake, he could talk to me, and he was really in a stable condition.
So you hand over the patient to the ambulance doctor. There was a mobile intensive care unit, therefore, not just two paramedics, but a doctor with all the equipment in there. So you hand over the patient, and then you went back. Excellent. Finally, we're sitting today with public safety professionals from all over Europe, many colleagues, including some decision makers. What are your key takeaways from this? What does this story teach us for the organization of future large sporting events? UEFA is organizing large sporting events, but other games are also in large events. What are your takeaways?
So preparation is key, of course, and I think you need, for every sport event, you need minimal medical requirements, which should be done by an experienced emergency physicians. And it depends on the sports you're preparing, because all endurance sports, even if you have young people, the risk that you have a sudden cardiac arrest is higher than in the normal population. So if you have cycling, swimming, football, and all this, you should be prepared. And of course, what I said, normally these young people, they have a sudden cardiac arrest, which is caused by a rhythm problem. So the key to save his life is you must have the equipment, and you must have the equipment really quick to the incident. So normally what we say is, this is a regulation in UEFA and FIFA tournaments, you must be there within 2 minutes with the equipment. So if you prepare something like this, of course, in a stadium is more easy, and because we have in the stadium, you organized already the Olympic Games, so you know it. We have also in the stadium for the spectators, we placed people with AEDs, and that they can reach every spectator within 2 minutes, and so this is the aim, what we should do. Second is, of course, what I learned is you have minimal medical requirements, but it's also not only the quantity, it's also the quality is important. So please take care that the paramedics or the physicians who are there are experienced in resuscitation. Because what you could see also in the video, I'll just make it short, is that we always in football, we have doctors on the pitch. We have the team doctors, but they are sports medical doctors. So most of the time, and this is so sad to see it, most of the time they are lost in this situation. So when the first decision, when they do the decision, it's most of the time it was too late. So it's also training is very important for all the doctors. So you cannot be automatically think, oh, I have a doctor sitting next to me, so he can manage the situation. You only can manage the situation if you are trained in it.
Okay, so you also asked my next question, what about the spectators? What happens if a spectator falls down? And you responded that an AD should be available within reach within 2 minutes, and they should be properly marked in the stadium. So there are also paramedic teams walking within the spectators, correct?
Yeah.
Is there a minimum requirement for that now with UEFA?
Yes, we have also minimal requirements for the spectators. I don't know if you know the Maurer algorithm. This is an algorithm where we can put in the numbers, expected numbers of spectators, and then we have to take care about the situation in the stadium. So we have to see, is it possible to reach all the spectators? And then we place these walking paramedics or these first responders with AED. We place them in the stadium in a way that every spectator can be reached within 2 minutes.
Thank you. You made another interesting point, and I want to emphasize that point. There is emergency medicine specialty now all over Europe, and there are doctors, team doctors, who are specialized in musculoskeletal injuries, sports injuries. They're surgeons most of the time. They repair knees, and they're excellent in that work, but that doesn't necessarily make them good at resuscitating patients. Pretty much like an emergency physician is not very good in diagnosing an knee injury or even operating on a knee. So you're clearly making a distinction between emergency medicine, even emergency pre-hospital medicine, and medicine. And it is true because doctors in a hospital environment tend to follow the protocol which says, you know, what are the symptoms? I'll examine the patient, ask for additional examinations, and then come to a conclusion, a diagnosis, and then I will start the treatment. If an emergency physician wants to go through that chain of command, by the time he has a diagnosis, the patient is pretty much not able to be resuscitated. So that's a clear decision. So I would say that what you describe is two chains of dealing with medical problems. One is the regular medical problems that a sports athlete would be faced: sprained ankle, broken bones, this, that, muscle cramps, this, and then the emergency medicine side. So two different medical aspects that are now being distinguished, and there are two paths. Is that correct? In the UEFA?
Yes, it is. This is correct. This is what I emphasize, because I could see in the past that if we believe there's a medical doctor and they all should know how it should be, we know that we failed. We could see it in so many. We have Vivian Foyer, we have Ekeng and Abdelak Nouri, the young guy from Ajax Amsterdam, where we could see, even if there were two doctors on the side and even there was a paramedic on the side, that the resuscitation was not done correctly and too late. So you need to have out-of-hospital experienced emergency doctors or paramedics. I say resuscitation everybody can do. And what we are doing now, because we have to break down also the team doctors, we have to train the team doctors and the physiotherapists, because also these events can happen not during a match, it can happen during the training. So this is, for example, we have a program in Germany that we train all the physiotherapists and all the doctors, and the easiest lecture the lesson what I gave them, the key point is every non-body contact collapse on the pitch is a sudden cardiac arrest. Otherwise proven, it's not.
Yep. So you actually give them the diagnosis. So start working. Yeah. The diagnosis is here. Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Indeed, everyone, please give a big applause to Dr. Jans Kleinefeld for his work. Thank you, sir. A pleasure.